Peasant Productions presents the math of ESP, why it works even if you don't believe in it. Okay, haven't put one of these up in a bit. Can I get back into the flow of the idea here? We've been discussing the idea of how the math is very exact, and it is even more exact than most scientists even want to think about. They like a lot of flip-flop back and forth. A can be an apple, A can be an orangutan. They don't care whatever. A is A. In ESP, it is much more in energy, I should say. I'm not even going to drop it into the idea of ESP, but rather just in the absolutes of energy, it is an absolute. It always is the same thing. It is never something else. If you have an addition of something, it is always there. This equation, A plus B plus C minus C, never equal just A plus B. It can only equal A plus B plus C minus C. You took something in and you took something out. It's always there. It always registers. That is why, and this is where we're going to kind of get into this little bit of this time displacement idea theory that's currently getting out and about. Okay, time is an absolute. It's always going forward. Okay, place is also an absolute. Everything is moving everywhere. Even this universe within chaos is moving. So it is never in the same place. Chaos is something that's not describable really. Yes, humans have a definition of chaos. It's where things go, clocks run backwards in chaos. Okay, that's the science fiction stuff. That's the movie stuff. That's the Twilight Zone stuff. Okay, that's your human definition. If you ask a person in the United States what chaos is, and you ask somebody in England what chaos is, and you ask somebody in Canada what chaos is, and you ask somebody in Japan or China or Australia or India, they are all going to give you a different opinion. Okay? Because you all have different opinions. You have all got different ideas of what chaos is. If you actually enter into chaos itself, what I'm calling chaos, it doesn't even have a name really, okay? But it is this flux of energies that exists outside of your universe. And again, remember, if scientists can say, oh, there's the edge of the universe, something exists outside of that. Okay? Only an illogical, insane person is going to say that the universe ends and there's nothing there. It never can be. Okay? A logical, rational, intelligent person is going to understand that if you have a wall, same way I got skin, my physical body ends at the skin. My spiritual aura does not end at my skin. Okay? But you cut this hand off, my body now ends at the wrist, right? There's something beyond the body. There's air. What's air? Well, it's minute little particles floating around. Okay, it's something, isn't it? The same exists with your universe. Just because you can't measure the way, you lose your hand, you can't measure that hand anymore because it doesn't exist, but there's something there. You also can't use that hand to measure anything because you don't have the hand. So to sit there and claim that because you can only measure to the wall of your universe, nothing exists beyond your universe, is illogical. You are saying that you control reality. You do not. Okay? It's that simple. You exist within a reality, within a physical realm within a reality, and you might even be able to manipulate stuff within that reality. but you do not control what is beyond it. You do not control the whole sum total of what your universe is. It's kind of like a meme on Facebook. Christian Bible people claim they're the only people to have the real true God. They will murder anybody who argues with them, whether you are talking about the Jews, the Christians, the Catholics, or the Muslims. They claim that in a little tiny piece of land on the entire planet of Earth is the only place in the entire universe that intelligent life existed, that the God that created the universe itself allowed a piece of itself to come down and inhabit a physical form and be a real thing and talk to prophets and be the only people that are allowed anywhere on the planet to have God. Everybody else, no matter who you are, where you are condemned by those four religions. Because somehow Middle East is the only place in the entire universe that ever got visited in God. In at least their 5,000 years of existence. And the reality that the planet is older than that 5,000 years, there's people that walk this planet that remember of their forefathers and their foremothers and their forebrothers and their foresisters who walked this planet thousands upon thousands of years before that. There is physical evidence that trees and mountains and oceans are older than that. But those four religions run around claiming they're the only ones. Okay? So you deny reality, but you don't disprove it. And that's where the difference is. So you have this little situation here where everything has to be absolute. And even the scientists have now entered into the realm of religion because they are saying that only they can be right. They haven't stopped to think about what Tesla said over 100 years ago about if you ever enter into the realm of the non-physical, you will learn so much more in a single lifetime that your entire field of science has learned in the past 10,000 years. Astrologers are the forerunners to astronomy. Okay? The alchemist is the forerunner to the physics scientist. The mathematician has always been around. There have always been people who somehow managed to make little objects that we turned into words and numbers, that we turned into mathematical equations. The mystics used symbols long before the Arabs created the number system. Okay? So it has always been around, it has always been in existence, it has always been there. Now, you have your scientists who claim that they sent a photon back in time, and this just recently happened, it was just on the news, okay? Problem is that their photon that went back in time and reacted happened in their lab in real time. Oops, it didn't go back in time. They brought a clone of the past forward into their lab and they had that react with their photon. They did not observe those two objects interacting and then devise the experiment that sent the photon back. Okay? That's the problem with people with time travel, is that they're always talking about the has-beens and the sortas and the possibilities, and they always forget that they are existing in the now. So something didn't go into that back past. Okay? So you got to understand that absolutes are absolutes. And like I said, the only way you're going to do anything, okay, is that you actually create a clone, because you go and you step over the side, you grab the data out of the past, you bring it forward to where you are in the future. Think about the sci-fi. What do? The sci-fi movie, this big orb of past is in front of you, and the person leaps through the hole and goes back in the past. What have they done? They've just stepped into an alternate universe. They brought the past forward to them. They did not go back and change what they already exist in, because if they did, the change would already be there at the time when they decided to go back and do the change. So it can't happen. It does not happen. You can create the alternative universe, and like I said, chaos, which is non-definable and has no limits, and there is no outside edge wall that you will ever find, and there is no rules that say what can or cannot exist, will always have room for something to be there. That's why even me, I can't say that you can't create a hell. You won't stay in hell forever, because, a trillion, billion, trillion years is an awful long time. Something will raise your awareness and kick you out of that hell type of thing. And if you read the Bible and it's fantasizable idea of a hell, even there it says you only go into hell for 1,000 years. And then you become enlightened and you grow up and you get out of hell. So, you got to understand that an awful lot of what you believe in is based on what comes out of mouths. It's based on what kind of imaginations people have and what they can get away with telling you. Somewhere here, let's see. I know there's okay, real quick here, something to kind of point out how this is. Okay, I have a half brother, and because I have been very badly injured, and I am quite often have physical pain of that, he had been talking about how he was very spiritual, and so I asked him if he knew how to do healing hands. And he kind of mumbled a little bit and admitted that no, he really didn't know anything about healing hands or how that worked. But he did know about this process called tapping, which is basically doing this. And you touch different parts of your body and stuff like that. And I had to laugh. I understood the process. I know of it. It is very effective. Okay, there is tapping. Okay. Tapping became okay in America when the guy who invented tapping, all he did was take a Eastern acupressure system and apply Western science names to it. Instead of calling me crazy because I know that by pressing my ear here like this, I can reduce the desire to smoke a cigarette, and calling acupressure fake and fraud, he turned around and said, oh, psychology is okay, but instead of pressing here, you ding, 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 you tap yourself. And that makes it okay. So by labeling it with Western words, it became okay to know about tapping. Okay. It's bad to do acupressure, which is a fraud. But the process of acupressure, if you call it tapping, is perfectly okay. There is no logical, observable, factual evidence of a difference. There is only opinionated words coming out of a mouth that tell you which is okay and which is a fraud. Okay? So that's why I say, when you want to do time travel, start thinking about the reality of it, and start thinking about the reality of the science and that religious belief behind those scientists, that they have to be more right than that other religion. Okay? Because that's what it all boils down to.